Good evening. Welcome to Wellington. This is the lower school town hall. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Holly Fiddler, and this is my first official duty as the head of the lower school here at Wellington. Thrilled to be here. And really, I know that this time is sacred time. As you can see, I am in the same position as you are as parents and caregivers of our children. I am parent of a middle school student, and I cannot believe it. She's going into sixth grade. So I totally understand your um, your need to plan out this time and carve out this time, and definitely do appreciate it. Um, this is an interesting format. I can't see you, and I have to say that that is a little bit what we've been living through for the past 18 months at least. Uh, but I am looking forward to greeting you and meeting you, and certainly the children, our children. So thank you very much for coming. I am coming most directly from St. Paul, Minnesota. For the past 7 years, I was the head of lower school there at St. Paul Academy and Summit School. And so I know schools, I know children, I know families, and I am just so thrilled to be at Wellington. It is an amazing place that has been built on innovation and is continuing to build on its values. So thrilled to be a part of that. You know, I before I came here tonight back to my office, um, my daughter asked me, you know, how are you gonna come in, and what are you going to say? And I thought about it, and what happened was she actually has been through so many of these. She kind of is a thought partner in that way, and she said, you know what, you just have to come out and be welcoming and just greet everybody. And so that is exactly what I want to do. That's how I have been. So much of my experience as a school leader has really been about making connections, and those connections are based on knowing each other. So I really look forward to not only getting to know children, but getting to know families, getting to know the Wellington community. And that really is what is upcoming. I look forward to listening and watching and learning about all of the wonderful things that have been going on and are going to continue going on at Wellington. I will say as well that I'm so thrilled to be working with the group of adults who just care so much about children and care so much about the work that we do, because it is of vital importance. Um, there is a lot that I am still learning about Wellington, and some of it is that there are a lot of names of things and acronyms. And so if you're like me and you're new to the community, we will be learning together. But in particular, we have a new structure as far as our now 4 divisions, and that has brought forth some questions. So we wanted to make sure that we do clarify what we mean by which divisions. Early childhood, which is now headed by Shelley Brown, is Little Jags, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. Lower school, of which I am the head, is 1st through 4th grade. Middle school is 5th through 8th grade, and upper school, which we call upper school, but in many other places it's high school, is 9th through 12th grade. And I do appreciate the fact that we are all here together. I've been in schools where we have had various divisions separated. The thing that most impacts me about that is the ways that our children view one another, and being able to see older children and younger children really does give the community feel, but also can be purposeful and can provide role models who are near peers, which is so important for children's development. I love the idea that even our littlest Jags can do really big things, really important things. And I look forward to working with them. And this is such an exciting time. I'm going to keep saying that because it is such an exciting time to be at Wellington. So one of my main goals with this town hall is to certainly answer the questions that so many of you submitted, and thank you for those, but also to detail my view of our homeschool partnership. As parents and caregivers, you are your children's first teachers, and you know them in ways that we don't and can't really. It can't be replicated. So this partnership is critical to the positive growth and development of our children. It all starts with coming to school. So getting here is a way that we will partner, and certainly there will be families who will come through the car line. There will be families whose children take buses. All of this information is detailed on our car line traffic flow, and I will be out there at Carline. And so I want to thank you in advance for your patience and for your just trying to keep all of us safe as we come together. So another really key important homeschool connection is our student information system. It is called the Veracross, and your parent portal really is like a portal. It really is a hub of information, and it can be a one-stop. I know that as a parent myself, There are times when things get piled up, and I need to know that there's a place for me to go when I have a question or I need some information. So in your Veracross parent portal, you are able to see your child's teachers. There are calendars for school events. You sign up for your conferences, and very soon it will be time to do intake conferences, which is an opportunity for us to communicate about our hopes and dreams for the year um, for your child. It also has general information about the school, things that are school-wide that can be very helpful. And it has, most importantly, a link to our back to school resource page. On the image here, you can see as well something that you may have already seen. Certainly, we are in the process of accepting your opt-in for our learning from home option, as well as our aftercare program. So with regard to learning from home, this is a way for our children to be able to um, be involved and be engaged while families are able to sort of make a decision about where that will happen. Our aftercare is really, to me, so critical because, again, I understand the need for families to be able um, to have some place for their children to go when their work hours are not the same as the school hours. And looking forward to working with that program and recognize how very important it is. It is for lower school students a fee-based program. And so again, in your Veracross parent portal, you can click on that button for that information to opt in. That's enough about that. I'll also talk about the regular means of communication. As we have been together apart in so many ways over this period of time, communication has really been at the forefront. And certainly, as a school community, we have to be thoughtful about that and be very, very intentional about it. And so this year, you can expect that there will be weekly homeroom newsletters. So this would be general information that teachers would be able to share with families in their homerooms. Monthly, you can expect to have a special area newsletter from our special area teachers. That way, you can also have a heads up on special projects or on performances and other key information for that month in that special area. Every month, I will also share a newsletter that will give you updates on what is to come. It's really helpful just to have it all laid out and also to talk about some of the really important matters that we are facing and just to give updates. So I'm looking forward to sharing that as well. I am really excited that Wellington has Seesaw, and I have a lot of experience with Seesaw. Seesaw is a digital student portfolio app that you can access on a cell phone, you can access it in a web browser. It is awesome because what it does is it shows you your child's work, and it is about each individual child. So each individual child has their own portfolio. There may be things that teachers add to the portfolio. There may be things that children add to their portfolio. But as parents and caregivers, you also will have access to their postings. It works very much like several social media platforms, but it is way more secure. It is only for our community members. And I'll talk a little bit more about it in a moment. um, Finally, the Bugle is something that you may have already seen in your inbox. And this is school-wide news. And I really appreciate it for the way that it can keep us connected, even though our day-to-day may be very division specific. This is one way that we can come together in terms of communicating what's really going on. So that's every first Thursday of the month. I also wanted to make sure that families know the special area teachers. Often there is an emphasis on homeroom teachers because they are your point people. They are the day-to-day. Our special area teachers work very closely with one another as well as with homeroom teachers and our learning guides to really provide both an integrative and an immersive experience in these areas. Now, I said I was going to get back to Seesaw, and again, I am so thrilled. I think that this will be truly not only a way for teachers to communicate about individual children, but also a tool for parents and caregivers to communicate with their children. I know that feeling of saying, oh, what'd you do in school today? Nothing. Well, and you know that that's not true. But with Seesaw, there are things that you will see that you will be able to be a little bit more specific about. I really enjoyed listening to you read on Seesaw. What did you think about the book? Or I loved that drawing. What colors did you decide to use on your next one? These kinds of little just conversation starters can be really helpful in helping children be able to share these wonderful things that are going on. So you can see what's going on in class. You can like and comment from time to time on their photos, on their videos, on their work, and the children can see that as well as the teachers. And as I mentioned earlier, it is for our community. So it is not external, it is very secure, and the login information will be provided by your child's homeroom teacher. So when you get that, make sure that you get your login information and download the app. So as I mentioned earlier, many of you submitted questions, and I will have to preface this to say that I've been here for about a month. And so there are many, many questions that I am able to answer by virtue of being here a month, but also by virtue of being in schools and knowing the development of children and having lived through sort of this COVID era in a school. And I will say also a school that was in person for the last year. Certainly, there are many questions that I can't answer, but I cannot answer them all. And there are many that I will be reaching out to try to answer and gather more information to be able to respond to families who are wondering. However, there were some trends in the questions that I received in advance. And so I'd like to share some answers for those trends of questions. So there were several questions about COVID-19 protocols. Now, I think there were some questions about just COVID-19 in general, the outlook, and those kinds of questions. I don't necessarily have the answers to. And if there's anything we learned, right, even when you do have an answer, it may change very quickly. And so being flexible and really responsive is important. And there is a medical task force that will continue to monitor the most up-to-date and current information and guidelines about COVID-19. But in particular, families were wondering about how children will experience it. So we will require masks indoors. And so one thing about little people is that their masks can get a little messy. And so it's a good idea for them to have extra masks, and we will support them. They have been such troopers, not only during the school year, but I have been here and saw some children during the summer program, and they just go with it. I really haven't had any experience with children, young children, lower school children, having any issues with their masks. And, you know, as a mitigation strategy, it's really one of the best things that we can do, and we will continue to be vigilant about that to keep everyone safe. When they are outside, masks will be optional in accordance with CDC guidelines. And there will be times when they'll have mask breaks, but when they're not masked, we will adhere to 3-foot distancing, again, as another layer of mitigation. Another question that is linked to masks is, what are we doing for lunch? And so certainly we are thrilled to be welcoming our lower school students back to the Thomas Family Dining Room. And certainly we want to be cautious about that as well. And so the students will be sitting with their homerooms, and there will be 2 lower school lunch periods. So grades 2, 3, and 4 will have lunch in the dining room together, and grades K and 1 will have their other lunch period in the dining room. And what that does is it allows us to sort of get back to the flow of having more options and helping children understand some of their nutritional choices and allowing them to make them. And so that's a really key part of the learning in the lower school. Another question about the building and about COVID protocols are really about the flow of the day is that we will continue to have limited building access for adults, parents, and caregivers. We will have some events, such as Wellington Parent Association events, that will be on campus. But in terms of the daily drop-off and pickup, there will still be limited access. Again, this is in light of guidelines and protocols consistent with the status of our lower school students. Another question with regard to the protocols. My understanding is that last year screenings were required and they were enforced by the school. Well, this year we encourage families to continue screening because it is a good practice, and children are in the flow and they are so resilient to go along. But really, screening is encouraged because we need families to have children stay home if they're ill. And it's important not only for that child to rest, but also to continue to keep our community safe. There were a few questions about the dress code, and so this is another area where the Veracross Parent Portal can come in handy. It is linked there as well as in our back to school resources. Again, it is my understanding that there were a lot of questions about belts. So I will just clarify that students are not required to wear belts. Students may wear shorts, pants, skirts, skirts, that whole range and variety. So please do go ahead and take a look at that, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions about that. Finally, there were questions about school supplies. And so one of the things that I think is key is that there are so many supplies that we kind of we need now in terms of the masks and hand sanitizer and things like that. But Wellington provides school supplies and ample supplies for all students. So you don't need to worry about the markers and rulers and crayons. They will be provided for the children. So that sums up the questions that I received for this town hall. Certainly there are some of them. There are many more, and I'm just grateful for your time and for you thinking about these. Any questions that haven't come up or haven't been answered, please do feel free to share them. There is a question and answer space right here, right now, but also feel free to email me. My email address is fiddler@wellington.org, and certainly I am just looking forward to connecting and to meeting and greeting all of you. Oh, here we are again. Thank you so much for your commitment to Wellington. We are happy to be here, and I hope that you will have a good night and see you soon.